13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone. We've all seen Night of the Doctor, where living doctors rise from the dead and humans try to protect themselves. We've seen Dawn of the Doctor, where Time Lords stay in a mall and try to protect themselves from Daleks. But what about Day of the Doctor? And perhaps more importantly, do you need to watch it in order to watch Survival of the Doctor?
What?
It's shit. I hate it.
Well, everyone, it is now the day after the airing of Day of the Doctor, and as promised, here we are with our thoughts. I am, of course, the Man in Black. With me is Ronson McCulloch.
Always a pleasure.
Mad Matt Winchell.
Hello.
Eli.
Howdy.
And joining us is Hydriatus.
Yep.
We got a British guy.
Indeed.
We leveled up, guys.
As usual, we are going to start with the news, which, again, there's a lot of this week.
Because Day 50th, it happened, it's a thing.
This being the 50th, there's been a lot of news about the special itself that we might miss. There's been enough news that we might miss a few other minor things, such as celebrations and whatnot. Well, the types of things that we would normally cover is what we're going to try to cover today.
Okay. In the news, earlier this week, Stephen Moffat released a statement bashing Michael Grade for his original cancellation of Doctor Who in the 80s.
Grade responded, but I do not think that we're going to get an epic rap battle out of it, I'm afraid.
I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see Stephen Moffat versus Michael Grade anytime soon.
I'm petitioning.
You're petitioning.
Yes, sir.
Considering how bad the Doctor Who one was, don't bother.
This, of course, is not a new enmity. Fans have been bashing Michael Grade since he canceled Doctor Who in the 80s for what has been described as personal reasons. Grade, at the time, was sleeping with former Dr. Colin Baker's ex-wife. They did not have a nice divorce, and she basically poisoned Colin Baker to Michael Grade, which is why he got Colin Baker off the air. But it was that 18-month hiatus which led to the 89 cancellation of the series during the 7th Doctor era. Grade had been on record saying that he loves the new series, and he's liked it since the beginning. He has occasionally said, well, yeah, if I hadn't canceled it back then, we wouldn't have the quality we have today. And originally it seemed like this had been put to rest. Grade had been renamed the controller for BBC in 2004, and was originally opposed to the bringing back of Doctor Who. But after seeing it, he officially gave it a top marks for its 2005 season. That apparently had supposed to have been putting the rivalry to bed, but of course, Stephen Moffat does like resurrecting the dead. In other news, in seeming protest to being left out of the 50th anniversary special, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, and Sylvester McCoy, and I do believe Paul McGann made a little special called the Five-ish Doctors.
Mm-hmm.
You left one out unless you're not counting him because he's not a doctor.
I was referring to simply the doctors in there.
That actually made physical appearances.
Well, Russell made a physical appearance. He just claimed that he wanted to become Cyclops, probably responding to his own criticism.
Actually, part of the production staff of it. It was actually the main producer for.
I got you.
The main producer for this was Peter Davidson and his daughter Georgia Moffat. And the stars.
Georgia Tennant, according to the credits. So I think they are.
Yeah, it's Georgia Tennant now, but she was originally Georgia Moffat.
Right.
Which, by the way, does have nothing to do with Stephen Moffat. No,
so it's spelled differently, I believe.
No, it's spelled pretty much the same. It's a very common name as far as.
Oh, okay. I thought her name was spelled with an E. I might be thinking of somebody else then.
I'll have to double check that. That might be, but I know the rest of it's spelled the same. Anyway, the whole thing is basically revolves around the three of the doctors trying to sneak in and actually get into the filming for the 50th anniversary special, in which they do succeed, only to have their scene cut on the editing room floor.
Well, I think it showed that they were also, according to that, they were also the Zygons that were covered in shrouds.
Yep.
So
yes,
they had
whether that is actually true or not, I can't tell. I'd love to see that if they're actually there in the production notes.
I would also love to know if they didn't also play any other parts of the Daleks.
No, they were supposed to just be there for that scene, and I knew that scene wasn't cut because the Daleks used in there were the new Victory Daleks. And none of those were actually used in the 50th anniversary special.
Which is a shame, really. I also like the new
Actually,
look
it wouldn't
of those.
make sense considering all the Daleks in there were Time War Daleks, so...
Yeah. Although I've got to say, really confident Gallifreyans are like, this is the most fortified outpost on Gallifrey. But if one Dalek shows up, they could wipe out everything.
Which does take us to the next thing, Bill.
Oh.
Was The Last Day. It was another little mini-sode that was brought forth by Stephen Moffat, released on Wednesday.
Sorry, I jumped forward. I'm not good at linear times and everything.
Oh, no, I missed one.
Did you?
I didn't see it till after the special.
Oh,
I think I linked to it in our chat.
If you did, I missed that link. I didn't catch it till afterwards.
Well, can I get the impressions on that one real fast, if y'all don't mind?
It's sure, it's essentially shown first person from the eyes of a trainee Time Lord, fresh out of the looms, presumably on.
Looms, bad Bill.
Bad Bill. We will have to hurt you now.
Smack your nose.
On Arcadia, which is a military base on Gallifrey.
It is not a base. Arcadia is the second capital of Gallifrey.
Got you.
It is basically supposed to be the safest spot on Gallifrey.
Okay. Either way, they were in a base within that, because you could see several other soldiers around. He was being trained and such, and they're showing him how to use the defense telescopes. And they're like, just for training purposes, go zoom in on that spot there and pretend it's a Dalek.
Oh, that's a bird or something, no problem.
Yeah.
And
if one Dalek got through the sky trenches, we'd be in shit. But there's no way they're going to get through the sky trenches. That's physically impossible. So they zoom in, and it's a Dalek. And as they're talking about how that's impossible, sound the alarms, we realize it's not a Dalek. It's about 1 million
Daleks.
Yeah. And then shooting starts, and the screen redlines.
And that's the beginning of the fall of Arcadia.
Mm-hmm.
One day the Doctor will come to terms with that.
Yeah, it's just a little 3-minute mini-sode.
Oh, that's still kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like the cutscene you would get in a video game about the Time War.
Yeah, and it's done like you were. It's like a Halo video in a way.
Almost,
because everything's done through the form of the character. The only time you see the character is when he briefly looks in a mirror and freaks out.
So it's done in first person?
Oh yeah, that's That's right. Before the parts that I mentioned, there's a part where they're mentioning the cybernetic implants and such that they're getting, and the Time Lords. The newbies that are getting these implants are seeing glimpses of themselves and the people around them as dead, and he's essentially being warned, don't freak out. It's not a premonition. It's just a hallucination caused by the implants. And then they cut to the gist of it.
Okay, so how long is it in length?
It's 3 minutes, 42 seconds.
Yeah.
All right.
And here is a link.
Fantastic. I'm going to watch that as soon as we're out of here.
Actually, I could have sent that link too, but okay.
I looked it up really quick and sent the link.
Yeah, I have it paused right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. Don't.
You're not gonna play the whole video, no, not after last episode.
No.
Okay, are we done talking about the last day?
I think so, unless anyone has any particular comments. Has Arcadia been mentioned in other than the
Yes,
Doctor?
Arcadia was first mentioned in Doomsday.
Like you meant, like, I know it was to me it had only been mentioned in him saying he was present at the fall of Arcadia. One day he'll come to terms with that.
Correct, which was the line in Doomsday.
Had it, like you mentioned it being the second capital and whatever, was that all from the last day, or did you know that from another source?
It's from the last day and from the, Day of the Doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, that Arcadia is one of the capitals.
In the last day, I think is referred to as the second capital and the safest place on Gallifrey. In Day of the Doctor, they refer to it as the second city.
Got you.
What's next?
Next is, following the simulcast yesterday, Moffat got entered in the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest simulcast.
That is a damn feat.
Yeah, I think that's a deserved one. Although hopefully it was Doctor Who and not specifically. Oh, Stephen Moffat had a simulcast, but
yeah, I really hope that that he jumped into a very well-known brand. Like, it wasn't his show became the biggest simulcast.
I don't know. Let me take a look. Let's see.
Because it was simultaneously with cinema.
Doctor Who, biggest show in the world, following simulcast.
That's a lot easier to accept.
Anniversary Special receives a Guinness World Record for the largest ever simulcast of a TV drama after being broadcast in 94 countries.
Correct.
Damn. Think of the money, man.
Yeah, and the fact that it was also screened in 3D.
Million on the UK.
What's that?
Average audience of 10.2 million in the UK.
All right.
That's something else. Never mind.
Oh, it's still more than 10 million people in the UK. And there was more than 500,000 people watching in cinemas in Latin America, North America, and Europe.
Oh, no, yeah, it was over 10.2 million in UK. I was then looking down and seeing other things. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, this is big.
That is big. That is really impressive.
The TV broadcast episode was also screened in more than 1,500 cinemas worldwide, including the UK, US, Canada, Latin America, Germany, Russia, and Scandinavia.
And it'll be aired in significantly more than that tomorrow.
Yes.
It really goes to show the pedigree of the show. 94 countries.
Yeah.
It is, back in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, Doctor Who was largely a British thing. Especially in the 60s and 70s. In the 80s, it began to spread around more. And, in the 70s, you did see it spread to the British satellites like Australia.
In the 80s was one of those time periods that sci-fi in general was becoming more popular, so I could see...
Yeah,
with Alien 2.
And videotape made it a lot easier to spread the film, to spread the stuff around. Which is why the United States started getting it in the 80s. But really, it goes to show where this has come since 2005.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any numbers of how much they made putting it into theaters?
I don't know. I'm hoping it's enough. I'm hoping it's enough that the BBC will actually look at that and start thinking theatrical movie.
That's what I'm really hoping. I hope to see, at least a Torchwood movie or something. That would be cool.
I would love to see something put in theaters in the Doctor Who universe. I would go see it.
Me too.
I would probably go see it at the IMAX.
Speaking of which, does Cushing have any survivors?
Cushing?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but I think.
I'm sorry, Cushing?
Peter Cushing. The maker of the alternate the star in the alternate movie universe.
Which the Five-ish Doctors did throw a throwaway line.
Reference to, yes.
Someone on the radio says, "Who's your favorite Doctor?" Mine is Peter Cushing.
I don't see anything about him having children.
So I guess we're not going to get the return of Doctor Who, but we might still have the Doctor.
He had like 3 wives. 2 wives.
So he really was Dracula.
No.
No,
I'm wrong. It was just a. He was only briefly married, and he never got over her death.
If you could load those numbers up, I'll even look for it if I have to. But
I'm trying to find them myself, and I'm not finding anything.
Because I probably won't know most of the numbers until about a week after.
Has it gone into all the... I know that's being simulcast in different countries tomorrow. Has it entered all the countries it's going to go to theatrically?
Yeah, I would love a list of those countries.
Actually, you know what? Usually those numbers aren't calculated until the weekend is over. It's still Sunday. So
it's staying in for the full week?
No, but they're probably probably going to do is they're going to delay it by a day and give the list including the Monday showings. Got
it.
Okay. You know what? Here's a way I can... Let me see if Best of Both Worlds information is available, because they got the exact same treatment from the same company. So if they have if that episode has box office info, then this will. Why did Miley Cyrus do a tour called Best of Both Worlds, which is destroying my Google search?
That was when she was Hannah Montana. Why do I know that?
Blink.
Well, there goes your credibility.
All of it. I'm just going to be over here twerking.
Girly!
You heard it here first. Eli twerked with Miley Cyrus.
If I could twerk with Miley Cyrus, I would. That's not even a question.
Damn it. So apparently Japan wasn't included in the simulcast.
No, it wasn't.
Was or was not?
It was not.
Why?
Because they need to translate it, dude.
It wasn't even that. Actually, no. They probably could have really whipped up a quick Japanese subtitles based on the script. And there were several other non-English countries where it was broadcast to.
Mm-hmm.
Asia was broadcast in Hong Kong, Indonesia, Malaysia, Myanmar, Singapore, South Korea, Taiwan, and Thailand.
The thing is, after the U.S., Japan is the country probably most likely to have a translator leak it.
The thing is that the Japanese never really understood Doctor Who. They got a couple series of it, but they never really quite understood who it was geared for. So I think it kind of died quickly over there.
Yeah, whereas we kind of tend to post it up as fun for the whole family, Japan really wants a solid single audience for something.
Yeah.
Which is weird, considering that's a big question that people seem to have with anime.
It's a cultural difference between us and Japan, that they can't understand some of our stuff and we can't understand some of theirs.
Yeah, that is a big thing.
Go
study sociology, kids.
Bad news, I'm having trouble finding box office numbers for Star Trek Best of Both Worlds, which means that we might not get box office numbers for Day of the Doctor unless BBC is pushing for them.
Oh, well, we'll just have to talk about it next week, then that's fine.
We'll probably find out next week or so.
Yeah,
well, I'm saying if this isn't on, then I'm kind of doubting that we'll even have them next week unless BBC takes it into their own hands and does it.
I'm pretty sure they will. They want to know.
So, any other comments on the simulcast? I'll take that as a no.
Particularly?
I wasn't a part of it. I had to watch it like 3 hours later. But
Oh no, I was part of it. I actually
was
at a Doctor Who simulcast party.
Unless DVR counts.
I know that thanks to the simulcast, people have found ways to stream BBC One directly onto American computer screens.
I actually heard about that. I'm not surprised with the amount that this is. I mean, this is Doctor Who, and it's big now. It's global. It's
93 countries.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah, a lot of them were in Africa. You know, where we keep finding new episodes.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to convince the populace to go out and dig.
That's just that's blowing my mind. Can y'all think like 50 years ago?
50 years ago, the world was a lot larger place because it was harder to get that kind of stuff. It took days, if not years, to get stuff from A to B.
That was like something you would hear and you'd tell your friends, "No, that's bullshit. Go somewhere else with that." 93 countries.
It took 6 weeks to do one adventure on Marco Polo.
Yeah.
Now it would be an hour.
Yep.
Pretty much.
It's a completely different world from 50 years ago. And it's amazing that Doctor Who is still in it.
It has stayed relevant through so much culture change.
And we brought back the Zygons!
I mean, if you think about it, 1963, the Beatles were just starting. So the majority
and they were being banned in some places for their music.
the majority of rock and roll at that point was still kind of that 50s feel. That light rock. I mean, this is even before Elvis the Pelvis became popular. This is,
not going over your head, are we, Luke? You British sumbitch.
This is still like doo-wop and that kind of music.
I'm sorry, Luke.
Eli, are you being a racist bastard again? You're losing our audience,
Stop costing us viewers.
I'm hell-bent on making sure you have like 2 viewers a week.
Haha, I fooled you. We already have 6.
Damn it.
But, no, I mean, 50 years ago, it was light rock. The Beatles had just started. We hadn't even... I don't know if we'd even gone into space yet.
I don't think so.
I think the Russians may have, and we were still behind. Space. It was a completely different world then. And Doctor Who had just started. And yes, it took a break. Here we are 50 years later. A computer in nearly every household. Smartphones. Global communications networks. And we're still talking about Doctor Who. And it's still producing new episodes.
You really have to comprehend the fact that this has stayed relevant through all of this change. Shows like Dallas.
Except for the 90s, kind of.
Well,
it died down in the 90s, mostly due to douchebags and bad writing.
Yeah.
But it's really awe-inspiring, because you see something like Dallas tried to make a comeback, and that thing is bombing.
Yeah,
hard.
And, you look at this, you think about a 50th anniversary episode, and mostly what people have for those are reunion episodes.
Exactly. Or The Simpsons, and you're just, something of a high number of episode, like 30th, 25th, and what your first thought is, man, that thing's really gone downhill. But people still love this.
In fact, even more people love it today than did 50 years ago.
Exactly.
Because, like I said, 50 years ago, its fandom was based on one little island west of Europe.
And it was largely based on the fact that it had a monopoly. You didn't have a choice but to watch it in 1963.
I was making a comparison here, Lucas. I was not dissing England in any way.
I was getting in there before Eloy did.
It's just like this one little island with this tiny population of the entire world. And the world was a smaller place back then, too. I don't even think we'd hit 5 billion people yet.
Nope.
And here we are with over 6 billion people on this planet.
Aren't we at 7?
And this phenomenon has hit 96 countries on 6 continents.
It's, to my knowledge, that is unprecedented.
That's
Okay. We're waxing a bit lyrical here.
Oh,
I was doctoring, wasn't I? Sorry, I do that.
I was waiting
Sounded
for
like
that Tom
a
Baker
feature in a
quote to make its
documentary.
way into the conversation.
I had my soundboard out, and I was about to play that song that always plays when Matt Smith gives a speech. Thank you.
Okay, yes. So it's supposed to be the news, not the overall commentary. I'm
You
sorry.
can take Doctor Who, but I'm not going to finish that joke. Never mind.
Okay, so let's.
Don't make
Is
me
there
get the
any
screwdriver
other
again.
news?
Sorry, what was that, Randy?
Is there any other news relating not to Day of the Doctor, but to anything else in Who fandom or even
I have a
generic
sonic
sci-fi?
screwdriver coming in the mail.
Ha!
Silence Will Fall for Christmas.
Oh yes, thank you. I knew
Oh,
there
that's
was
right,
something
the
I forgot.
Christmas one.
They have shown the trailer for the upcoming Christmas special, and it is Trenzalore.
Again.
I need to see that. I don't think it was on the copy I saw.
No, it was on
I
BBC
didn't know.
America's. It is not the biggest thing, and watching it, I did receive the comment, was there anything in that trailer we didn't already see in Name of the Doctor? And I don't really think there was. I don't think there's anything new in it.
Not much, no. A lot
Is
of
it basically just there to say this is still happening, guys? Keep coming back.
I think it's
The
mostly
Silence
the
are
fact
back.
that we will actually be dealing with the Doctor's quote-unquote death.
Well, it's, or the other term used in the episode is the fall of the 11th, which we already knew about.
Yes.
It's the 12th now, guys. Come on, get with the times.
Well, I don't think they're going to... I think they're just still going to call him the War Doctor, just so they don't have to retcon and make Eccleston the 10th Doctor, Tennant...
See, damn it, they shouldn't have done it there if they weren't willing to go all the way.
I know that,
God
but
damn it.
the thing is, it will be confusing if I say, oh yeah, I like the 11th Doctor, and people are going, you mean Tennant or Smith?
They should have
Yeah,
gone all the
exactly.
way.
That's going to cause my bit of confusion. Sorry, quoting Monty Python.
We're just gonna call you Bruce.
Exactly. Thank you. Somebody remembers the Philosopher's Sketch.
So can we go on full rant now?
Nope.
Or are we still have
Not
to go
yet.
by
We're
the
not.
no
We're not there
spoilers
yet.
thing?
We're not in rant mode yet because we still have to do the plot summary for Day of the Doctor.
Before we do that, I'd like to take this moment, without any form of spoiler or anything else that people who are still waiting to decide if they want to see it yet, give short summaries. So, for example, mine is, I had some issues, but I'm going to say I liked it overall, and we'll go into more detail once we get into more detail.
At most,
fucking
I had
hated it.
nitpicks, and that's about it.
I
really
fucking
liked
hated every second of it.
Eli, just stop trying to talk over other people. Now you can speak.
I'm sorry.
No, he came through clear.
You didn't come through clear on my end, though, and he was trying to talk over me.
I wasn't. I'm really sorry. My internet is really slow, so it doesn't show up that you're talking until you are. But I didn't like it at all.
So we might as well get Randy's thoughts on that then.
I loved almost each and every second of it, and I think this is the new bar standard.
So yeah, let it never be said that doing this first is going to prevent there from being drama on this show. Luke?
Meh. Neutral.
Okay, so those of you who are going to stop watching due to spoilers, take that as you will. We had kind of liked it, meh, hated it, loved it, and I'm sorry, Matt, I think
Really
I
liked
lost what
it.
yours was. And Matt liked it. So if you tend to agree with one of us, go with the person you agree with. If not, we have a few more yays than nays, so granted it's kind of expensive to go to the movie theater for it, but
Okay.
Oh,
so
yeah, I would
at
not
this
go
off the
point,
vote, go for it.
At this point, actually, let's just do the review at the end, the actual point review, and let's go with plot summary, and then the in-universe references and discussion. But at this point, let's actually put up the spoiler warning.
Yeah, I was going to say, Matt, do you have anything you can put on screen to say spoilers are about to start? It might be helpful when you go back.
But if anyone has been paying attention, they have already been warned.
Yes, at this point, if you do not want any spoilers for Day of the Doctor, and you
bugger off.
And you are waiting to watch it on Monday, at this point you'll probably want to turn off and come back to us when we put this episode actually up on the recorded section. Because we will be discussing the plot, we will be discussing the secrets that are revealed, etc. And you will be spoiled if you continue listening. You have been warned.
With that said,
you give it 10 more seconds. 10 more seconds so we have no bitching.
13, 10. I can't even talk straight. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. Oh, actually, let's just do this.
1, 2,
Capaldi,
skip a few, 13.
Tennant, Eccleston, War Doctor.
John Hurt.
That's still hard to say. Yeah, John Hurt. John Hurt, McGann, McCoy, Colin Baker, Davidson, Tom Baker, Pertwee, Troughton, Hartnell. Okay.
And you are.
Was there any relation between the two Bakers?
No, there's not.
Okay.
No.
It's Baker is another one of those really, really common name. Anybody that was a baker or anyone whose ancestor baked anything is probably named Baker these days.
However, it would be really hilarious if a descendant of Tom and a descendant of Colin got married and then went on.
Well,
to
the
marry
doctors are intermarrying now.
That's what I'm saying. If a double Baker offspring went on to marry the child of David Tennant, we would have
one day we will have a destined
Tom
child.
has any children.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Tom Baker has any children. Yeah. He's been married, twice?
When he was of childbearing age, he was too busy loving himself,
kids.
essentially.
He does have two
kids.
He does have kids, okay.
Excellent.
So it is possible that in the future you will see a descendant of Tom Baker marrying a descendant of Colin Baker.
I'm assuming none of them belong to Romana.
And their child will be Joanna Baker. Baker!
Oh, that sounds awesome. He's going to be the destined child.
No, the destined child
have
is
that.
when all 13 Doctors' children all intermarry and have kids.
In 50 years.
And produce the ultimate Doctor who will spontaneously grow 2 hearts and build their own TARDIS.
A scarf will protrude from his neck.
He will be born with a scarf.
Oh, that reminds me. In the Five-ish Doctors, did they say that they were Davison's children, or were they his grandchildren?
Those are his kids.
Okay, so he has kids of varying age.
He got married twice. He has a kid. He has a bunch of older kids and a bunch of younger kids, or at least
those
one
boys
older.
Were his kids.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So if I can interject, Randy,
he had some recently.
First wife, and then he got married like 5-10 years ago, and the kids we saw in there, it might have been 15 by now. The kids we saw in there were his later wife, his second wife.
Randy, do you mind if we start with your opinion of Day of the Doctor?
Oh, I was actually going to talk with the plot.
Oh yeah, I was going to say
first,
pros and then cons would be great. But if we are doing a plot summary, I'm not sure who's going forward with that.
I did plot summary last time, didn't I?
Is a plot summary necessary, considering if people are
I don't
watching
think so. Personally.
Well,
it just came on
we
yesterday.
Say spoilers.
So anybody watching this,
we
have to work on
even
your
if
assumption they watched
days ago, do a plot summary, and remember, it's going to be 3-4 days by the time the recorded version of this actually goes up, because somebody's going to have to re-encode it and podcast it. So I still think a plot summary would be good.
No, it'll take me about a day or two to get this up at most.
Yeah, a day or two. It's going to be up in perpetuity. So
well, it won't be fresh in their mind.
Somebody might be listening to this 6 months down the road.
True.
So I would still prefer to have a plot summary in for basically archival purposes, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Bill? It's your show.
I think we don't really need too much because we'll be going into a lot of details, but the short one makes sense.
Yeah, a short one. We need at least a short one. And I did it last time, so not a...
Mine will be full of bile. So maybe you don't want me to do it.
I'll do it. The Doctor and Clara wind up being hijacked by UNIT to investigate the Undervault, a area basically set up by Queen Elizabeth I, and a series of paintings, 3D paintings that have had all the characters disappear and glass on the front of them broken outwards. One of the paintings that they're looking at is called Gallifrey Falls, or No More. They don't know which. It is a Time Lord painting, as all of these special 3D paintings are. And this one is showing the fall of Arcadia, which Smith mentions he was at. It then cuts to John Hurt's Doctor, and basically the steps that go forward to him getting a hold of the Moment, the device that was used to end the Time War, and it basically shows him setting it up and talking to the interface for it, which turns out to look like, well, Rose Tyler.
Thank God.
There's some discussion on basically whether he should do this, should end it all, how many children would he kill, and the Moment mentions that his price of doing this would be that he has to live, and live with what he did. It then proceeds to start showing him who he would wind up being. And we see, Smith's Doctor, and then we also cut to 10, and currently in 16th century England, on a date with Queen Elizabeth I, which we discover is an elaborate plot to unmask whom he thinks is a Zygon masquerading as the Queen. It turns out to be not the Zygon, but the horse. Mary Chase ensues.
You mean not the Queen, but the horse?
Yeah, the Queen, but the horse. Mary Chase ensues. Suddenly there's two queens. And at this
makes
point,
out with the Zygon.
Starts opening up in the space-time continuum created by the Moment, which brings all three of the Doctors eventually together. They're captured, taken to the Tower of London by one of the queens, who has seemingly disposed of the other. And basically at that point we discover that the Zygons are plotting to use the same 3D technology, Zygon having been lost in the early days of the Time War, to bring themselves into modern-day England to take over the planet. The Doctors are rescued by Clara, who manages to get a hold of a time vortex manipulator, kept in a base code, left by the Doctor in the Tower of London, to come back and rescue them, although they had just thought of a way to save themselves anyway, and send themselves into the future to stop the Zygon invasion by basically erasing everybody's memory so they couldn't remember if they were Zygon or human. The John Hurt Doctor, watching these two Doctors hammer this out, basically realizes that he's actually going to be proud of the man he's going to be, decides to activate the Moment. But before he can do so, 10 and 11 show up so that they can be there for Hurt, so he doesn't have to do it alone. But then 11, kind of on the urging of Clara and a little bit by the Moment itself, comes up with an idea that this time there's at least 3 Doctors, where before there was 1, and they could make a difference. So instead of activating the Moment and destroying everything, they decide to use the same 3D picture technology to basically flash freeze Gallifrey at a moment of time and make it go away, letting the Daleks destroy each other in the crossfire. Eventually this winds up that all the Doctors get involved with this, 1 through 13. And Gallifrey vanishes, the Daleks blow themselves up, and they have coffee in a museum afterwards where they're discussing the painting.
Those were teacups. I think they were having tea.
Tea, sorry.
Tea, yes.
Sorry, I was worried about my voice breaking there.
British
Eventually,
tea.
Hurt and Tennant leave, leaving Matt Smith looking at the painting, where he is approached by somebody called the Curator, who mentions the fact that the painting's name is wrong. It is not Gallifrey Falls or No More, it's Gallifrey Falls No More. Taking this means that they're successful. Matt Smith goes back into the TARDIS with hope for the future. End of summary.
I like how you saved that one big spoiler at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're holding on to that one. That was one that we did not expect to actually be fulfilled.
There were a lot of little in-universe drops in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing, since Eli was the person who did not like the episode, I want to start with Eli. What was if you had one thing or two things that you have to praise about the episode, what are they or would they be?
Elizabeth's corset. That has to be consistent.
So specifically, you mean that fan service shot where we get a Tennant's point of view where he's looking straight down her cleavage?
I'm not gonna lie, I paused it. But what else? What did I like? There were a few memorable lines of dialogue, and it was very fanciful. It was nice, and that's about the only good writing is the bicker. That's about all I got. I didn't like anything else.
Boobs and a couple of lines.
Yeah. I really did not.
He is a simple man.
Very simple.
Why do I get
Go ahead.
Why do I get the opinion, Eli, you would like the show a lot better if all the companions ran around naked?
Because I have another petition for that as well.
Even Rory?
Yeah. Well, equal rights. I mean, that would be a PR nightmare if I didn't say Rory could too.
Just a random comment, since I'm watching this on mute while we're talking, since I only watched through it with sound once, and we just got to the point where yes, we do get a Cyberman in this special, and I need to bring it up at some point, so now's as good a point as any.
Yeah, we got a Cyberman helmet.
We were promised Cybermen, we did get one, but I think Neil Gaiman destroyed their plans to include a fleet of them because they couldn't make a fleet of his Cybermen in time.
Probably. I don't think it's entirely Neil's fault either. It's the fault of whoever was trying to make those costumes.
Yeah.
Although at least storyline-wise, there is the possibility of more of them later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we did get one helmet, but that's fine. There was a whole bunch of stuff. There was a whole bunch of companions that got mentioned in this. I mean, starting from like the first 3 seconds at Coal Hill School, where you see like the trustee of the board is I. Chesterton.
Yeah, there's one part where Clara is looking specifically at a publicity shot of Susan.
But it's up on the unit board, so it's the list of. It's basically the unit's list of the Doctor's companions, aka security risks.
Yeah. And they do go through, and in the credits, I think they might credit every companion. At least I saw quite a few names on there.
Yeah, I saw a picture of Rory as well, by the way.
I thought they went through everybody, but then again, when I looked through the list last week, I didn't know there was that many companions. Maybe there's more.
There's a lot of companions.
Yeah.
Tons of them.
And then there was, of course, the list of some of the equipment they had in the Black Vault was like previous props from older shows.
I haven't gone through the Classic Who yet, but I I slowed down my DVR so it moved at a much slower pace so that I could see all the things in there, and I'm going to look for them when I go through Classic Who.
There were a pair of red shoes in there that I didn't know if that was an in-universe nod or if Moffat was just taking on the Wizard of Oz.
Why was there so much emphasis on shoes?
It's transmat shoes.
I did notice the crazy magnets from Army of Ghosts and Doomsday.
So apparently Units has taken over Torchwood's old collection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they probably went through Canary Wharf right after Jack did.
Probably.
Or before, one of the two. Because I know they both did.
Well, they did show what happened to Jack's time jump thingy.
Yeah, that was nice.
And Randy and I were talking about it. We had two things to say about that. And the first was, thank you for not being a River Song cameo for no reason, because in the past they would have done that.
Yep.
And two is, we're thinking this was when Jack left Earth after Children of Earth, he left that in Unit's possession.
Certainly possible, at least plausible at very least. It's after it's in the event of one of his deaths, and freaking Jack's the Kenny of the Doctor Who universe. So
that's what I was about to say. He's about up there with Rory.
No, Jack's worse, because Jack can actually die and come back, period. Not, I died, no I didn't. Or I died, now I'm back as an Auton, you know.
Jack did the same thing as Kenny in taking on an Eldritch God simply because he couldn't die.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
Take out my life force. Well, there goes that Eldritch God.
Still waiting for Satan to come back.
But yeah, there was a lot of... I was actually looking to see if there would be a reference to Bessie, and there wasn't, which kind of disappointed me.
Yeah, that is disappointing.
Oh yeah, that would have been nice.
Especially with, Kate Stewart. The Doctor has known to leave the car with the Brigadier, therefore Kate would have inherited it.
Probably.
I don't think we even saw Bessie in Battlefield, did we?
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
We did.
Yeah, we rode in it.
Mm-hmm. Was the first time we'd seen it since 5 Doctors.
Mm-hmm. I know for a fact they wrote it in
they
that episode.
had the
last,
changed it to 7.
Speaking of 5 Doctors, we never mentioned the Shada footage or Shada footage in the 5-ish Doctors.
It's the same footage they used in the 5 Doctors.
Yes, it is.
This is why they said the 5-ish.
The exact same footage.
So
hello,
Randy,
I cannot be contacted right now. I'm apparently in limbo again.
But they didn't use Wax Tom.
Randy, can I get your pros?
Oh, my pros.
I'm really interested in Randy's opinion.
Start. I loved the way Tennant and Smith played off each other. I thought that was absolutely beautiful. The fact that I love this episode to death, though my own personal fan fiction work has a good chunk of it lying in flames on my floor, still it is a good sign on how much I like this. I like the fact that it has basically set Doctor Who in a new direction now. Whereas before, Doctor Who, since 2005, has been written as this sad, lonely man who is, basically struggling against odds to, save the universe, or out of guilt for what he had done during this war. That's all gone now. And now he's, basically he has a goal to drive for, and he has hope that he's not the last of his kind. And it's changed everything. I basically have seen this 3 times now, and I did a plot hole check. And other than they kind of jumped from where they were in Name of the Doctor to this one, without really telling how we transitioned, there were no actual plot holes. It all made sense.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that too. It's like, well, they would have been nice if they would have explained that, but you know what? If that's all major to me,
yeah, I think the biggest plot hole I saw was her becoming a teacher in such a short time. But then again, substitutes have been known to.
Then again, look who the trustee of the board is, Bill.
Yeah.
All she needs to say is the Doctor, and I'm pretty sure she'd be hired.
The Doctor sent me to be a teacher here. Who? The Doctor. The Doctor. Oh.
She's welcome. Oh, Ian, I remember you. What?
Yeah, remember that little time with the mechanoids?
The what? Just watch him collapse into a chair.
I'm pretty sure with Ian Chesterton leading the board there, she was a shoo-in for the job, whether she was qualified or not.
Okay, yeah.
Probably.
I can take that.
So, Randy, anything else?
Oh, I like John Hurt's rather gruff, grouchy portrayal of his Doctor, his new one. I liked how with Tennant and Smith kind of having a 2 and 3 snipey relationship. How Hurt pretty much fell into the first Doctor role.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
All he was missing was the line.
So you're my replacements.
Yes.
Yes.
I love the little throwback scene where they're in the TARDIS and suddenly the desktop pattern glitches and they're back to the old roundels. And those were the old roundels.
What are the round bits? I don't even know.
Those were like the second and third era roundels. I'm just like, yes.
So that was basically Ken's console with the classic background, essentially, right?
Yes, more or less. It was Ken's console without the color.
Yeah.
It was essentially supposed to be Hertz TARDIS, I think.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Hertz.
Because when they did the later episode where they had Hurt regenerating,
it was the same background again. Yeah,
that's something I wanted to catch on my second walkthrough. Was
it was essentially Ken's TARDIS without
bits.
the blue.
I missed those round bits. Do you even know what those are for? I have not a clue.
At the same time, I was a little annoyed that there wasn't a redesign on the console, even a makeshift one for Hertz TARDIS, but
I
hope.
Oh, and speaking of which, you guys noticed that the unit, I think it was a unit building where the TARDISes were parked, had something that was essentially the roundels on the wall.
Yes, but it was. I think that was in the gallery.
That was in the gallery.
Yep,
yeah.
that was the gallery.
And if they're keeping everything else hidden down there,
if they were using it to keep Time Lord paintings, I could have seen why they would have put roundels in there. Remember, Queen Elizabeth I saw the inside of the TARDIS, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not entirely surprised. That didn't bother me at all.
Nope. Oh, God. I loved a lot of the dialogue. Yes,
the dialogue was sharp.
There was a couple of Stephen Moffat tropes that bled through.
But at least they didn't linger on them.
They didn't linger on them, and the rest of the material more than made up for it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I actually liked the fact that Billie Piper, arguing the fact that they wanted Billie Piper in there for the 50th, she wasn't actually playing Rose Tyler.
Yes.
Because, yeah, I was in a
Because if that was really going to be Rose Tyler, it'd be another major groan.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. I was watching this in a group of people, and when the name Billie Piper came up on there was a collective groan from nearly everyone I was sitting with, and I think somebody's like, not again.
I wouldn't be surprised if that came out as Sarah, but...
No, it wasn't. It was one of the other people that we were watching it with.
And if the thing is, if it was Rose, they would have had to do another Superman memory kiss on her, because her seeing another companion and not being insanely angry and jealous over it and it affecting the future of the show just would not have worked. Because at this point in their relationship, she was extremely, pretty much, at the tenant point of the relationship, she was pretty much extremely jealous, even
and possessive,
with the knowledge of Sarah Jane.
Mm-hmm.
It would not have worked very well.
And having her here as basically the moment, she was kind of a Deus Ex Machina, but at that point you are talking about a device created during the days of Rassilon and Omega. Basically, you are talking about a really, really ancient piece of Time Lord technology, which was so smegging powerful that they had to lock it away in a high-security vault, lest it actually judged the Time Lords themselves.
To mention the fact that we've actually mentioned the moment before in the actual series, so we can't complain that they didn't warn us about it.
Yes, that's correct. The moment steps back to End of Time Part 2.
Powerful.
Mm-hmm. It is an insane... I mean, it is basically on the same level as the Hand of Omega.
And it does kind of make sense that something like that, the first thing that it would sense as something being part of the Doctor's time stream is, the time when a companion merged with time itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like a big glowing point.
Notice of herself around time and space. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh yeah, there's a timeline, there's these little glowing Christmas tree lights, and oh my god, is that the sun?
Yeah, let's go take a look at that. Oh, wow. Yeah, I think I'll use this for a swarm. It looks cool.
Yeah,
so basically,
even if this isn't what he has seen already, he's gonna... him or the others around him will know what this is. So let's use that.
So
we're pretty sure Eli had no complaints.
I don't know. It's, for me, that was kind of like, okay, that works for me. It works for me. I'm actually fine that it works.
I felt like they could have done a real cop-out and gotten Rose Tyler as Rose Tyler to be there, and that would have upset me more.
Yeah, that's the thing. It would have been it would have made more sense in story that if Billie Piper was there, it was Rose. But at the same time, it would have really been impossible to wrap this up without some sort of ridiculous contrivance.
Mm-hmm. And to be honest, Billie Piper's acting role at the moment, I actually kind of liked it.
Mm-hmm.
It was very against her usual trope.
Yes.
It was interesting. During Name of the Doctor, we talked about how River was played down and not as bombastic and such as usual. And compared to Rose, I would say that's sort of what Billie does here as well. She has a bit more of a laid back, a more serious, less loud role than normal, less flashy. Flashy is mainly the word I was looking for.
She isn't there to eat the scenery. She's there to further the plot.
Oh no, she eats the scenery a little, but it's in a different way than she used to eat the scenery. Rose became very "What about me?" and that began to really eat at me on that character. And this was not "What about me?" This is like, "Hi, I'm here."
It's not that she became that way, it's that she started that way and she had only moved away from it to a certain extent.
And then came back to it with a passion.
Yeah, you're giving the show too much credit if you're saying that it furthered her plot or her character along. She stayed that way.
Well, no, she stepped away from it for a little bit, but then she took steps back to it.
Yeah, when they kept bringing her back, she kept becoming more and more about me. By the time she came
back in Journey's End, she was like 8 billion. She was like creepy stalker levels.
Oh yeah.
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 I want my doctor back.
At this point, it's like, what? So they're going to bring Rose back and she's going to be even more creepy stalkery? No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to deal with that. And instead, they basically had her play the moment, and I just thought that was freaking awesome. Because it was her completely liberated from playing Rose Tyler. It was just, hi, I'm the moment, I'm here, I'm badass. And she's playing a genie. She really is. She's playing a monkey's paw genie.
I don't think she had quite as many teeth as she used to. She used to have way
I noticed that.
teeth.
She wasn't horsey teeth as she was back during End of Time.
That was my one big physical complaint, was that she had way too many teeth. And
are you people telling me you stared at her face?
She did a lot of these giant grins, which the screen used to zoom in on.
Yes, they used to really zoom in on her smile a lot.
Yes, that's the London look.
Yes, Eli, some of us have girlfriends or regular access to porn.
Oi!
So we don't have to stare gaping maw at hot chick.
I do.
The internet is for porn. And Doctor Who.
Anyway,
is that the end of the prose?
Oh.
Matt, you can continue to go into song if you want, but
I'm trying to think, because it's probably I liked nearly everything, every minute of line. I liked the cameo at the end.
I've got a question for Eli. You mentioned that there were some lines that you liked. I'm curious if they were along the same lines as the ones that I particularly enjoyed, or if they were different ones. So which lines in general or in specific were you referring to?
Any scene with all three of them bickering usually had me grinning. But there was one.
In that case, if you haven't seen it yet, watch The Three Doctors on Netflix.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was really kind of the Three Doctors. The second and third Doctor had much the same bickery relationship. Although I can tell you this,
I was going to finish this off with that question.
Not being from England, I actually did have to go home and Wikipedia what sand shoes were.
Oh yeah, I didn't catch what sand shoes are.
They're essentially a type of rubber-soled trainers. Essentially, they're Converse, Matt. I wear sand shoes all the time.
Oh, so in other words, they're like my new pair of shoes then. Which means, yes, I did get Doctor shoes.
Yes, for those of you that don't know, I wear Converse trainers almost exclusively. I have like 15 pair.
I own some that I use if I need to carry shoes with me for later. That's what I would bring.
I wear them because I am naturally flat-footed.
Kind of
and anything with arch support basically gives me a footache after about 2-3 football fields worth of walking.
And I'm sorry, it's at least partially my fault that we tangented while Eli was trying to give his...
no, it's fine. I don't care. I'm used to it.
Go ahead, Eli.
I was just asking what scenes made you, like, really stuck with you.
Oh, you're just going to respond with the question. Of the nods to things that are impossible to resolve because of writing problems in the past that they sort of addressed in ways for example, when they were looking up the file on the 3 doctors, it was in the 70s or the 80s, depending. And then again, when he was like, I'm 1200, unless I'm lying. I don't even remember if I'm lying.
I liked that a lot, because I used to look up how old the doctor was, and it just kept coming up with he might be
they
lying.
have all kinds of crazy numbers.
The last time we got an honest number was when he and the Ronnie were both 953, and that was in the 80s. And since then, we've gotten nothing but
back and forth.
Different
Yeah,
numbers.
he suddenly shot back to being 900 years old in the 9th Doctor era.
And then he became 904, then he became 900 again, and then started aging.
No, that was 900 approximate. He's been aging regularly using 900 as a benchmark. So that now he's 1200 and some.
Although I should still point out, well, okay, there's going to be an argument that this is non-canonical, but the 8th Doctor at one point did declare that since he had forgotten his real age, he was going to use the TV movie as a starting point and consider himself however many years had passed in character for him since then.
That's non-canonical. But yeah, that's the Doctor's age is a big frickin' question mark. Because I think the earliest time that he mentioned his age was the beginning of the 2nd Doctor era, and mentioned he was 500 and some.
I think he was going on 500. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was 500 and some up till Tom Baker, where Tom Baker added a couple hundred years. And then Sylvester McCoy added a couple hundred years.
Yeah, I think what it basically came down to is he could travel a couple hundred years by himself, a couple hundred years with Romana.
Yeah, I think Colin Baker actually said something like 800 or something like that.
Yeah, okay, that's
I
possible.
believe so. And then he was 953 when he regenerated into the 7.
Gosh, when y'all go back to that old stuff, I have nothing to contribute.
Sorry.
Yeah,
no, it's fine.
It's just that we're bickering continuity, and they have finally said it in continuity what he might be close to again.
Oh, and the thing is, I have been saying since he first said I'm 900 years old, I think in like End of Time, or not, sorry, not End of Time, End of the World, or the episode after when he first mentions he's 900 years old. Might have been Aliens in London, something like that.
Aliens in London, he said he was over 900.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you lying liar.
And I quote exactly, over 900 years.
How would he keep track?
That's the thing, you can't.
Diary.
He used to keep a 500-year diary.
Yeah, he thinks he's
Sylvester
on his
McCoy
third
showed that he actually has a journal.
Yeah.
900-year journal.
That journl, if used by Matt Smith, must just be the most maddening thing to read.
Of course, the thing is, he said he did keep a diary, Fifth Doctor said he did keep a diary non-chronological, of course. The problem is that with time travel, one never seems to find the time. Always like
it's draining hearing an audio story with the 11th Doctor. I can't even imagine reading him.
Oh, God. I'm sorry. I actually like Matt Smith more than I did prior to this cast, so...
Because
this was the best I've seen Matt Smith's Doctor.
Yeah, it was. And watching him and Tennant just play off each other. And the scenes where they did stuff simultaneous was great.
The glasses.
The glasses, or the point where they both, near the end, where they both rolled up the chair and sat down and put their feet up on there. Yeah, their arms all simultaneous. I'm just like, awesome.
I wondered how many takes that took.
Oh,
I don't know. Those two fell in sync. I was watching some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, and they were doing a lot of the same shit anyway.
Well, they're not far shots of personalities from each other. You know?
What's that?
They're not far shots of personalities from each other.
No.
They have the same bass
tone. Gel on everything just to be comical about it to begin with.
It's another thing I did like is how they wound up defining the Doctor as, you know, the man who regrets and the man who forgets.
And yeah, that definitely really sums up at the very least one, if not all, of the Tennant years. Actually, probably two, if not all, of the Tennant years, if you count the specials.
And then later they find Hurt and Tennant as the warrior and the hero.
Mm-hmm.
That was both of those. I liked both of those particular definitions for those Doctors. The
warrior, the healer, and the Doctor, essentially.
No,
the warrior, the hero, and the Doctor. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they said the one who forgets with the 11th Doctor. And we've talked about it in the past, where he's essentially the Doctor that's in denial.
Mm-hmm.
So that fits well with that as well.
Yeah, which is why he acted like such a man-child. It actually makes sense to me now. And if Stephen Moffat has been planning this since Series 5...
Then you son of a bitch. You clever son of a bitch.
As I said, following the podcast in my group, Stephen Moffat, you magnificent bastard.
If he is that clever to have planned that so far in advance, I will rescind every mean comment, every angry letter, every death threat I've made up in my head about him.
It looks like it is.
It looks like he has, and that if he comes out and says, "Yeah, I'd been planning this. I had based this Doctor around this whole mentality from the very beginning,"
just drops the mic after saying that.
That still doesn't excuse the lack of attention he paid to other people's scripts, but
yes,
it does a lot.
And I'm not forgiving him for that. There's no forgiving Journey to the Center of the TARDIS.
No, there isn't. There is no forgiving that episode, but you know what? It makes up for a bunch of other stuff.
In my opinion, this is definitely a high mark. I pretty much can't think of a point I was not smiling, grinning, or a couple of places a little misty-eyed.
As for other things, what did you guys think of the directing? And the directing, lighting, cinematography? I'm going to group all those together. Any comments on those?
On production, yeah.
Production? Oh my God, there wasn't a bad special effect.
Yeah, the CGI, any CGI was done well.
And I guarantee you that was because theatrically that would not be acceptable.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some of the CGI in the last couple of years has been slipshod, but it's obvious that the BBC gave a very special budget for this.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if they got like a quarter season or half season budget on this episode alone.
People's opinions of something will vastly change when they have to go out from their homes, pay $8 for entry, then cash for the popcorn, then the drinks and the candy to sit down and watch this thing, and it's for CGI.
A lot of people went out and did that. Paid $15 or like no, $15 is a 3D price. So yeah, a lot of people went out and paid $15 to do that yesterday plus popcorn. So
that's what I'm saying.
It's not long enough.
It's an hour and a half, isn't it?
No, it's an hour 10.
Yeah, it's not long enough, really, for a cinema viewing, is it?
We used to have shorter.
Well, yeah, I know, but these, if you go to a cinema, you're looking at like hour.
It's not even. It's Let me go back to the end because I thought it was
kind of a nit.
Oh yeah, it's an hour 16. It's an hour 16.
Yeah.
I've gone to theaters to see short films. So it's kind of a niche audience, maybe, but I kind of agree with Luke. I don't think it's long enough to warrant a theatrical release.
Yeah, mind you, the theatrical release stems from the fact that, there were several countries that were interested that do not have a regular BBC broadcast. They tend to get the syndication a couple of years out, or a few months or a couple of years out of sync. And they wanted to do this simulcast, so they wanted to have the ability to do that. And B, they also filmed this in 3D.
And I can tell that from the scenes given.
And I really hope it doesn't hurt my eyes too much to watch this tomorrow night, because I do intend to.
If it does, Bill, you need to double check to see if you need new glasses or something.
I need new glasses anyway. I already know that. But like I know my 3DS, I can't watch more than 2 seconds without having.
And part of that is if you have if you need prescription glasses and yours are not up to date, it can cause 3D can cause an eye imbalance that can give you headaches and migraines. I have proven this theory.
I don't have the headaches. I have proven
this theory with my girlfriend. She used to have the same problem going to 3D pictures, and we got her glasses. And the only problem that she has now is the fact that both pairs of glasses on her nose makes her nose hurt.
Yeah, pretty much. And I don't get headaches from 3D, but I do notice that my 3DS, I have a problem trying to get some of the 3D to synchronize right, but that's another story.
And I have issues getting the bloody 3D glasses on.
And Lucas, I noticed you were gone for a bit. When you came back, we were talking about the production quality of the special, if anybody had any comments on that. So far, we've got mostly positive responses. The directing, the cinematography, all of that grouped in together. Any comments?
It'll just come down to what my main issue is, where for the 50th special, it didn't feel special. It just felt like a standard episode you get at the end of a season.
Except that this would have been a two-parter.
Yeah. But it didn't really strike me as anything that special.
I don't know any place you could have easily broken this into a two-parter.
I don't know at all.
No, it wasn't long enough to be a two-parter. Yeah, you would have had to add at least an extra 30 minutes.
It would have almost had to be as long as the movie.
Lucas, question for you, sir.
Oh boy.
Have you seen the 3 Doctors or the 5 Doctors?
No.
Okay. Because really, those were the standards to look for anniversary specials before.
Oh, you forgot 2 Doctors.
I'm not referring to the 2 Doctors. That was a production line episode, Matt.
It was still special.
It wasn't really. It was the 2 Doctors.
If you're going off that, Silver Nemesis would be a better benchmark, and let's not.
Yeah. 2 Doctors was John Nathan Turner attempting to grab ratings during a failing season, Matt. But no, the anniversary special episode that we've had before was 3 Doctors and 5 Doctors. Yeah, I will not include Silver Nemesis in that because that was actually also a mainline episode. It was not filmed outside of their production block. Whereas 2 Doctors and Silver Nemesis were both filmed in the production block, and 3 Doctors and 5 Doctors got separate budgets for their event.
So, Luke, you didn't think, this didn't feel to you like anything extra special aside from the last season episode?
Not really.
Really?
Then again, it's probably just a personal gripe, but yeah.
But no, if you look at 3 Doctors and 5 Doctors, they're both pretty much an episode.
No, I know what I mean. But the thing is that most of the specials are just episodes. I mean, I was just expecting something ridiculously special for the 50th.
So you were expecting
you had too high hopes.
I think you were expecting the end. You were expecting the end of time, but with the budget that we got instead. Am I right?
End of yeah. I suppose I was looking more forward for a slightly bigger budget, but what?
Well, they have a fairly good budget.
The BBC is under a budget crunch.
But this is actually half the length the End of Time was, because that was 2 long episodes. Well, actually, I'm like, this is 76 minutes. It has less credits, and I think what's the norm? 44 minutes, something like that.
42 minutes. 42.
Really?
Yes, so that's why there was an episode in the 3rd Doctor era called 42, because 42 is the average length of a Doctor Who episode.
And I think End of Time was a 60 and a 75, if I'm right.
I'm something like that, yeah.
So this is the length of the longer End of Time section with less credits, as compared to being the full 2-hour thing.
No. So, I'm admitting I'm being unfair in that I had unrealistically high hopes for it, but I was thinking 50th.
You wanted a theatrical level movie. It sounds like
I came into this with the assumption that I was going to either love it or probably shatter another tooth.
Pretty much, same here.
Yeah, me too. Exactly.
It's pretty much
just
sort of like
Eli,
it's okay, but it's nothing special.
I lost 3 teeth yesterday.
Wow.
I was angered. So, Luke, any pros that jump out at you? You left for a few minutes, so...
No, as I said, I mean, overall,
Ooh,
wow, I think
dude.
losing you a little
I
there.
love John as a doctor. Yeah. Oh god, better?
Yeah,
Yellow.
now.
Okay, well, I mean, it was well written. I love John Hurt as the Doctor and his sort of suffering at the hands of the younger fools as they bicker.
Oh god, yes.
I like the fact that the Zygons were back, although that's again a personal preference since that was the first story which I ever read of Doctor Who. Was the novelization of the Zygon episode. That's the first ever Doctor Who thing I ever came across.
Oh, so your first thing you ever read was Doctor Who and the Loch Ness Monster?
Yep. Well, it's not the first thing I ever read, but that's the very first thing that to do with
I meant the first thing Doctor Who related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sort of what got me into it.
That was one of my first. I think the first one I had was the novelization of the Warrior's Gate.
Right. But yeah, apart from that, it was just it was a solid episode. I just expected something more, and that's unfair, and I'll admit that. I suppose I thought you could have a different story as well, but you got something that ended up on a hopeful note, and it was a fitting way to sort of mark the anniversary and sort of giving it a new direction and everything. Again, just not what I expected, and that's just a personal gripe, so can't really go into that.
All right, Bill. You mentioned what you liked. Matt, what about you?
Oh, what did I like? Well, there's a lot of things we mentioned that I quite liked. Definitely loved the almost 1, 2, and 3 remake with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Was a really nice touch. We did get our regeneration between War Doctor and 9.
That's sort of. They still couldn't get Chris for it because Chris saw his cameo part in that and just said no.
Well, what we did get is at least a little bit of a still image of him that he was starting to turn into, though.
I do think they could have edited it, like looking at what they were capable of in Name of the Doctor.
Hold on a minute. Eli apparently will have to leave out soon, so let's actually get his entirety thing. He wants to vent. Let him go.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so, turn down your volume, guys.
And then you can leave, and I will tell the audience every reason you were wrong. But go ahead.
Now, here's why Eli's a fucking idiot. But I didn't like. It seemed like it messed with the continuity too much for me, for what I like in the story. I feel like it messed with the Doctor's character, and that's in that I like the character of I screwed up. This is my repentance. That's what I like about the Doctor, or the Doctor I've experienced anyway. I'll see if that changes when I watch the classic. But I didn't like. Shoot, I had a whole list about this yesterday.
Should have wrote down.
Well, you see, that would require me writing, and I'm American. I don't do that. But
lazy.
Exactly. Eating bacon.
Bacon.
Was it? Anyway, I felt like they underplayed Clara. The Elizabeth thing was awkward to me. The whole thing with Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, that was.
I think that was intentional. It's supposed to be awkward.
Oh yeah, the Doctor's also the King of England. Jesus Christ, guys.
Yeah, they had to deal with it because it was an RTD end line at the beginning of End of Time Part 1. It's like, got married, good old Queen Bess.
Yeah, here's the first we found out that she was pissed off at him and he didn't know why. Mm-hmm. Then we found out that he was rubbish at his own. No wait, we might have found out he was rubbish at his own weddings later. I'm bad at linear things. Then we found out that. I believe he had a line about her no longer being the Virgin Queen.
Yeah, that he got married, good old Queen Bess. Can't call her the Virgin Queen anymore.
And, good line, but I would have liked that to just be a throwaway, wink instead of having to intrude into the episode.
I kind of liked the way they did do it because instead of her being another Madame de Pompadour type of thing, it was literally he's here to solve a mystery and it gets out of hand, which is perfectly in line with the Doctor.
It is kind of a 10 Doctor thing where he did this as a way to solve a mystery, and it got away.
To me, it was too intrusive into the overall story that was happening. It's like there's this awkward thing of there's this cool thing happening, and now we're back to this, and now another cool thing, and we're back to her. And is it a Zygon? Is it not a Zygon?
Plus, they wanted to put in some something for the dads, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Earlier.
As you mentioned earlier, Eli.
Wait, nudge, nudge, say no more.
And I will say more of later in later podcasts. But I guess I didn't like much of any of it aside from the characters interacting with each other. I didn't like. So
your basic issue is mainly the direction, the choice of story, essentially.
Essentially,
if I'm understanding right.
The production quality was better than most Doctor Who stuff, but I don't think it was anything to really write home about. Like, for instance, when you look at the landscape of Arcadia as it's getting attacked, it's just kind of covered with red color, so you can't really focus on much. You know what I mean? Like, if they had gone through...
It's stylized for... Yeah, it's a stylized thing.
Yeah, I didn't think that was anything special, but it did look a lot better than usual Doctor. They obviously upped the budget for them and gave them free reign, at least a little bit. And, what else? I liked John Hurt as 8.5. Pretty good. I really expected him to suck, and he did not.
I really expected him to piss me off, and he didn't.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. See, he had a lot on him, and I think he executed it flawlessly. John Hurt.
I will admit, it is one of my minor beefs that they could have written this story not involving John Hurt. They could have made this a very weary
it could have been
Paul McGann. Yeah.
Exactly, and I would have liked that. I would have liked that a lot.
I would have liked that. Yeah.
I mean, I do think Hurt fit what was going on better than McGann would. But then again, if they had McGann like grow out some facial hair and be extra gruff and angry, it probably would have worked just as well. Maybe not
personality shift instead of a new regeneration.
That one of the early scripts, they had him look at it, and McGann just said, no, that's not really my character. But then again, apparently Moffat has been quoted as he's wanted to make a, quote, Mayfly Doctor for a while. And yeah, I'm not quite thrilled with that concept. But I'm dealing with it. I think that I still like the episode in spite of that.
Though, one more positive that I should have mentioned when we were talking about pros, I liked the little moment with the curator at the end. That was nice.
Yes.
That was.
I have not brought that up yet.
I was trying to bring it up, but I got transitioned on.
and I also got transitioned on.
Well, y'all can talk about it if you want, or I can.
Go ahead. You've got like what, 10 minutes left?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big one. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it was unbelievably awesome.
So there's all this cool nerd stuff happening. Sorry, Matt.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Eli.
There was all the cool, nerdgasming happening because the doctors, oh my god! And then it's like we were all calming down. Nope, back to the nerdgasms. Straight nerdgasms all the way through.
We brought back teeth and curls for an actual showing.
And he imparted some wisdom, dropped the mic, and left.
And he got what he always wanted, to be the future of the Doctor.
Yes. So, I wanted to ask y'all, with them mentioning the 13th, or whatever number he is, at Peter Capaldi, during the hiding of Gallifrey, or Arcadia, whichever, does that mean that there's no more past 13? Because it says all the Doctors, and it even features one of the future incarnations.
The time, well, that's the most recent shown there. Plus, at the time, the Time Lords could not conceive of somebody whose name wasn't Rassilon going beyond 13. Whether or not he goes beyond it, we're going to find out how and why.
But would he not have had to show up at that instance? Because they even pulled in one of his future incarnations. So if there's any past the 13...
They didn't really pull in anybody. Basically, the way we figured out is that Tennant or Smith sent a message back to the First to start this calculation, and it brought all the TARDISes, all the Doctors here at a specific point to deal with this. And
so the 14th was an asshole who didn't want to come?
No, that's the thing.
They only needed 13.
They only needed 13 to do it, and as far as anyone knows, there's only 13.
Mm-hmm. Yes. For example, in the 5 Doctors, the villain is essentially scooping up every Doctor. He finds the first 5. He doesn't necessarily find 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll accept that.
And it's in the 3 Doctors. Gallifrey is under siege, and they basically pull Doctors out of their time stream. They pull out 1st and 2nd. They don't really need 4th, 5th, and on.
Or they don't have. I would argue, based on that story, that's more they don't have enough power to.
They don't have enough power to do it. Yeah. Here, basically, the calculations that had started with the first got done by Capaldi's time. So Capaldi goes back and finishes the data, sends the finished data to Smith and the others. So it just tells them where to go. Tells them the positioning.
I'm not 100% satisfied with that, but I'll accept it.
Basically, the point is you're never going to get a special with all the potential Doctors because, who's going to know, 7 years from now, we're going to select this actor who's currently about,
5 years
it'll
old.
be like, yeah, well, that would mean a 12-year-old Doctor, but yes.
Where's that show?
Yeah, adding Capaldi was only possible because they know Matt Smith is stepping down next month, and Capaldi's new guy.
And because they knew fans already knew, because if fans didn't already know, they would not have risked.
Yeah, they would not have used it. They would not have broke street, so to speak.
Where's the show with the 12-year-old Doctor? I want that. All right, Nerd Rage over. Nerd Rage over. It's simmered out now. By the way, I had 24 hours.
That's generally why we tend to wait about a week before we do these kind of things. Is so we have a chance to take a look and then take a look again and kind of approach it from a different sideway. And sometimes that means that I hate a show that I liked before. So,
yeah,
Asylum of the Daleks, I liked it in its first. Hang on a second.
Showing.
The first time he saw it, he really liked it. But then when he came back to it the second time before we did the podcast, he nerd raged. Nerd rage big.
Okay, sorry, back. Just had to inform somebody their phone was going off.
Still missed it.
Anyway. Yeah. I can't remember what I was saying.
Any schooling y'all want to give me in the 3 minutes I have left?
Asylum.
Oh yeah, I liked Asylum first time I saw it. I took a day off and came back to it the next day and hated it, so.
That was my experience with The Impossible Astronaut, or whatever the name of that episode was.
Yeah, Day of the Moon and The Impossible Astronaut.
Yeah, that one. Alright, any schooling y'all want to give me in 3 minutes?
On what?
3 minutes.
You have a, do you have a subject you wish to be schooled in?
Well, mathematics, mostly.
Well...
Would you like to learn about happy numbers?
42 is the source of all life in the universe.
You don't like the main thing you didn't like is you didn't like the story on where it's going, taking away that depressive air of the Doctor.
Yes.
In a way, in some ways, only I agree with you because I liked that portrayal and I don't think it was done yet, but that really isn't the core of what Doctor Who is.
Yeah, it's one of those. They went a lot of places with it, and they did a good job with it. But at the same time, it would not have gone much longer before people were like, "We get it. The Doctor feels guilty. Move the fuck on." And it didn't quite get to the point where people were pissed off about it, but it was going to. That
particular phase of the Doctor was the new paradigm that was added by Russell T Davies in 2005.
Yes, he's been on that
whinging, never been a feature of the show.
The last one for
6 seasons.
Okay, on that note, Luke, you are officially the new frat boy personality of this podcast until I return. I have Sheriff Yee. I just did the Holy Cross with my hands. You can't see it. I'll see you guys next week.
Okay.
See you later.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's the fact that it had never been part of the original 26 seasons. Then Russell T Davies came in and basically added the Time War and added it, and that was the new direction for Doctor Who. And I always think Stephen Moffat has felt a little hamstrung by it.
Mm-hmm.
And this was his way of basically it's his ultimate fuck you to RTD.
Except he did it in a way that kind of rounded out and addressed RTD's story.
Why don't you do the corn? We'll do the potatoes, ham, green beans, and gravy.
Yeah, it was kind of the ultimate. It was, and it still followed the continuity, and he still managed to do it all. And that's kind of what makes why he's a magnificent bastard, especially if he's had this plan for 3 years.
Yes, especially since he managed to do it without completely breaking continuity.
Alright,
because as far as any of the previous Doctors knew, they still screwed things royal and could have destroyed Gallifrey for all they knew. It's only the 11th Doctor that found out, oh wait, it went right. Gotta go find it,
Although it does make it feel kind of weird that 10 is literally going from this story to the end of time.
Except for the fact that he can't remember anything.
Right. And they mentioned that, but it still feels... like, if I were watching these back-to-back, it would feel kind of weird, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. The fact that he can't remember any of this, so he goes... except for the fact that he was, somehow involved.
Married to the Queen.
Yeah. I suspect that he remembers the fact that Hurt and Smith was there as these vague, blurry shapes of somebody that was there. He doesn't equate them to being his future self and his ninth self, so to speak. He just remembers the events that they happened, and it's a bit fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
Must have had too much to drink that day.
Oh, don't tell me. I got married to somebody again.
I've got to wonder how,
to people. It just
I've got to wonder how, the first and such remembered it. They're like, we were told to calculate this. Why? I can't know.
Well, it's just like, hello there, Doctor. It's me, the Doctor. I need you to calculate this kind of mass perceptive thing. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Don't worry, I'll explain later.
Don't worry, you'll know about it later. Bye!
But it's very important for your future and the future of everyone else. I think.
Oh, and in order to trick your companion in the fact that I'm sending a message to you, you need to help find this part for me for this big scavenger hunt for Destiny the Doctor.
Right. It has to be something like that. I would have liked a little more explanation than what they give, but the fact that they gave at least a line of lip service to it, I'm mostly satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Just the smug look is just like, I've been working on this my whole life. No, I find this to be fairly awesome, badassy. Okay, do we have anything more to say about it? Yes, the cameo at the end, Tom Baker actually being there again. It's almost like he never left the way he was acting.
Who would have thought Huffington Post would be a reliable source?
No kidding, right?
You want to bet they did that after the Huffington Post reported it? It's a ginormous troll face to the internet.
Well, the thing is, everybody seemed to believe it anyway. Like, I was the only person on any site that I visit was like, why are you guys posting an article quoting the Huffington Post? Like, I must have said that 4 times in different Facebook groups.
Well, the Huffington Post isn't as bad as, say, like, the National Enquirer, but it's still not where I'm going for my reliable entertainment news.
Mm-hmm. Right. One thing I want to say about the about this. Oh, Eli already left.
Yeah, he did. Like, he had to go.
Didn't notice. I thought he hadn't quite
He said
made
his
it
goodbyes,
yet.
dude. How much more do you need?
Did he?
Yep, he spaced.
I
You
did
must
not
have
hear
spaced
that.
out, man.
You must have spaced out, dude.
I don't know. I did not hear that.
Ground control to Major Bill.
Alright, one thing I want to mention about John Hurt's Doctor, I've seen at least one person mention that the big flaw, or at least one big flaw with the episode, particularly Nash, who used to do Doctor Who Classic. I think that was the name of the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of his issues was that the John Hurt Doctor was, as compared to the other Doctors, was not someone we had the opportunity to grow close to and learn to care about and know him as a character. And to me, that's kind of the entire point of this Doctor, is that he's a stranger who we're trying to deal with as he's forced to make a terrible decision.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I kind of approach this episode, and I've got to say, I think that's how it was the writers did as well. And you really see that. You know, he's basically just, I mean, if you look at the character design as well, that type of facial hair and whatever is usually going to be for a gruff, closed-off character that he's mysterious. You don't get to see what's behind, what's going on inside his mind and everything, and that's the type of character he was. I mean, he kind of broke that in a few moments of doctorishness.
But other than that was brilliant playing, by the way, breaking that, yeah.
Yeah. And, but essentially he's this character that we don't know, we know that he considers himself different than the Doctor, but he has a lot of the same morals, and that he just trekked through the desert and is going to do this terrible thing with the best cause, and we're here to live with him as he makes that decision.
He was about to do the wrong thing for the right reasons.
Yeah, and we're here to walk him through that decision and know him that way. Mm-hmm. And that's really the only way we're supposed to know this Doctor.
Even the moment knew he was doing the wrong thing for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't fault his reasoning on it. And, just kept making sure, are you sure the cost is going to be, because this is what you're going to turn out to be. And that's what I really liked, the focus on, these are the men you're going to...
The whole this is what you're going to turn out to be would have worked much better if we'd gotten, one of those really deep introspective moments that the Tennant era did so well, where he's basically, where it's just this, the stone face of perpetual sorrow type of deal. And Hurt had seen it.
I would have loved to have gotten Chris in there, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Could you imagine Chris a la the end of Dalek?
I think he might have taken Hurt and throttled him if someone didn't step in the way.
Probably. And that would have also been an interesting thing to see happening.
Yeah, it would have been great just to see, Chris looking at Hurt going, you! And obviously, going to him with almost murderous intent, and there's Tennant and Smith grabbing him by the arms.
Trying to hold him back.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That would have been a nice dramatic moment, but of course Chris being Chris said no.
Probably because they really didn't give him enough to work with. They probably, if anything, just gave him the regeneration bit at the very end. And yeah, I can't blame him for not coming back for just that, because, heck, even Colin Baker didn't come back for that because he was getting ripped off. They really should have given him more.
Well, then again, Colin Baker got the shaft from the BBC, so... And I don't know if Chris got a bit of a shaft. I never really know for certain if Chris wanted to go longer, and RTD said no.
We don't know specifically what happened to Chris there. We may find out one of these days that he did give a bit of a shafting in, which is why he's gun-shy about it. We don't know. We may know one day, though. But
we may know.
We may know eventually, but the thing of the matter is that we got what we got, and I have to say this was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Again, the only real negative I actually heard has been, oh, they undid everything that made the 10th Doctor all depressed and everything. It's like, no, actually they didn't. What they did is that they caused a different version of the exact same event.
Nope, they didn't. This has always been the version of the event. It's just the fact that nobody knew it.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of assumed that it was actually all destroyed or whatever, but I'm like, no, not exactly. So I saw it as either it was just probably just a locked away dimension or something, which is kind of what this is, and there's more than likely a way to get back.
Okay, let me explain this to everybody. Okay, so somewhere during either the 7th or 8th life, the Daleks and the Time Lords went from this cold little snipety feud that they had starting with 4 into a hot war. And this was the actual physical beginning of the Time War. Things quickly escalated with both sides having time travel, and good time travel, that they realized that they would be rewriting the universe so fast, undoing each other's assaults, etc., that this was going to become a threat. So Gallifrey put the entire event within a time lock, meaning nobody could time travel in or out of the war, making the rest of the universe safe for the moment. However, things got bad, really bad, and the Time Lords started to lose. The High Council convenes to begin a vote to put forth the final sanction, the end of time. At the same time, John Hurt's doctor, who he had regenerated in the midst of the war, begins to realize that he's basically gotten fed up with the fighting. He's seeing too many people die, and it's affected him. And the fall of Arcadia was the time he basically said no more. And so he knew that there was one way that they could keep the universe safe, and that was to use the moment. So he stole it and went down, and basically what history says at that point happened was that in a massive blast of Dalek firepower, Gallifrey disappeared. And the Doctor appeared shortly thereafter in an Eccleston form and later claimed to have destroyed everything. What nobody knew was the fact that they came up with this massive plan to freeze Gallifrey in time. Nobody knew it, and that's only being revealed now.
Actually, what I got out of it is that they thought that they had destroyed it.
Yeah.
As far as they knew, even making Gallifrey disappear might have actually destroyed it. It's only the 11th that finally figured out, oh wait, it wasn't. It actually worked.
Well, yeah, they didn't know if they were successful in what they did until the Gallifrey No More bit with Tom Baker.
Mm-hmm.
But at least at that point they would have tried, rather than actually
killing everybody and everything.
Mm-hmm. Because that way, if they had tried and failed, they would have destroyed Gallifrey anyway, simply because, basically having parts of Gallifrey taken out of its own time stream at inopportune moments would probably cause the planet to crack up. Think about that. You're on a planet, and suddenly a 13th of the planet basically fades out of existence. Isn't going to look real nice.
Nope.
So that was the massive calculation, is they had to figure out how to do this, along what geological lines to do this, and in what, chronological order and pattern to do it, so that the world wouldn't crack itself apart as they were doing it. That was the uber-long calculation. Oh, and how to make sure that no TARDIS was destroyed in the process, because that would have not only fucked Gallifrey, it would have fucked the Doctor. Unless it was 14s, in which case he dies there, Anyway. But, so that's kind of what happened, is that, 8 knew about the moment. He knew about going there with the intention to press the moment. And then, or I should say, Hurt did. And then Eccleston, remembering that bit and then not remembering the whole Hurt, Smith, and Tennant bit, basically
if this
assumes he pushed the button, Frank. What?
If this was an American story, he would have forgotten because instead of going out for tea, they went out drinking. And he lost all memory of what happened the night before and then regenerated.
Oh, that would have been a good British story, too, because it would have been the night at the pub.
That still works in British terms, yes.
What, you think we're the only ones that have drinking to amnesia down to a science, Bill? Guess what?
No, I mean, British go out for tea afterward. Americans go out.
Oh hell no!
No, Bill. Bill, you're smoking pot.
Yeah.
No, Bill. The British drink as hard as we did some days, and some instances.
Maybe not as hard as us Wisconsinites, but.
Oh, I don't know.
But we are.
Depends on what game just ended.
What?
Depends on what game just ended.
That's true. I'm sorry. I live in a college town. It's basically post football, and a good, I would say, 30% of this town is in the bars.
Which is why there's so many
Wisconsin.
bars.
I come from a tiny little town in Wisconsin. We lost Lucas. The rest of you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, well, I come from this tiny little town in Wisconsin. Population is 130-something. It's a little burp if you miss it. Kept 4 bars for over 20 years.
I think we have a grand total of 1 bar in this town, but we have about 2 or 3 liquor stores. Actually, no, we have 2 bars.
Wisconsin has, I swear, about 4 bars and 2 churches per person. It feels like it. That's the only reason I would say that we're a harder drinker than the British.
4 of them.
But, I think we may beat the English, but we don't beat the Irish.
Goodbye, Irish audience. Hello.
After all, these are the people that made Guinness. A beer that is loved the world over. And are probably sitting there in Ireland going, oh, that's crap beer. We have much better here. We just don't give it to the rest of you all. I could be wrong, though.
That's a crappy liquid leftovers. You can have that.
I know. There are people in Australia that feel the same way whenever I bring up Foster's. Like we can't even get that stuff down here. It's shit.
And yet they limit on Mountain Dew caffeine. Weird.
Hey, I discovered a new drink.
Oh.
A new mixed drink I make now with Mountain Dew. I do 1/2 Mountain Dew, 1/2 of that Blue Jolly Rancher soda.
Oh, the Jolly Rancher soda. Ugh.
Comes out a beautiful emerald green. And it tastes like Raz Lemon. It's awesome. But yeah, I was drinking that during the celebration yesterday. So
now that Randy's caffeinated.
Anything else anyone wants to say about Day of the Doctor?
I like the closing credits.
I did and I didn't. The fact that it kind of moved off made it harder to read without pausing.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they did include all the faces of the 13 Doctors, but I really would have preferred a scroll bar credit. Because it gives me a chance to read it.
I got you.
Oh. I like the fact that they more than once actually brought up all the other previous Doctors.
Yep. Oh, the scene where the other TARDISes show up is just freaking epic. You're just like, okay, no. One of my favorite lines is, "Oh God, there's 3 of them. It's my worst nightmare."
Seth, we got more incoming. It's all of 12 of them. No, not 12, 13.
And of course, that was the great Capaldi teaser. That was just, and you just see his face, just his eyes.
It's just his angry eyes as he's
And
determined to get this right.
So, is there anything else we want to say about the episode?
Let me.
Because now we have been casting now for longer than the episode is.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, yes.
But not longer than we usually do for new episodes anyway. I just want to go through some of the issues I had and see if any of them were not addressed.
Okay, yep, sure. Sit there. I'm ready to fire a cannon at your issues.
Trying to find the part last night where you specifically asked me for what complaints I had.
Yeah, we were talking at about like 1, 2 in the morning here. I'm trying to go to sleep, and
I'd already been asleep. I actually went to bed extremely early yesterday.
Actually, that's right. It would have been the start of the conversation, pretty much. I personally felt that the callback to the RTD era Moffat stories was unnecessary. Randy disagreed with me. That was her telling the doctors to build a cabinet at the Zygons and the mention of timey-wimey.
Mind you, the original line on that was "put up shelves" was what you're thinking of, which was from...
I seem to remember build a cabinet also being used.
Actually, no. I listened deliberately for that line. I'd never heard that particular iteration.
And that was in the Dr. Dances?
Yes. It's one of those... It's in that particular story. I'm not sure if it's in the first part or the second part.
It might have been... No, it maybe... Was it a master line, build a cabinet, then?
It might have been. But in that case, it wasn't a Moffat line.
Yeah, then it wasn't a Moffat line.
But no, because the line in Empty Child Doctor Dances was... Use this, and I've got a sonic screwdriver. In a pinch, I could put up some shelves.
Well, it was basically like... no, I thought Jack said something.
It might have... Either way, it might have been, but it was not a cabinet.
I think Jack mentioned something to the line of what are you going to do, unscrew something?
I like all the little jokes they were making, and the dialogue between all three was good, so yeah.
Bill didn't like the whole timey-wimey bit, but I liked it simply because...
I liked it because...
It was Hurt putting it down.
Yeah, Hurt putting it down because he's just like, oh, please grow up.
Oh yeah, because it is part of that really childish...
Or the catchphrases.
Yeah, the childish catchphrasey speak that Tennant and Smith does. So I thought it was a very good example of how to, of putting it down. It's like, I can't believe I'm talking like this.
Although, based on the dialogue in this episode, I think we can say that the 11th Doctor is Italian, or at least has Italian ancestry.
Why is that?
Because he can't talk without waving his hands.
I don't have Italian ancestry, and I can't talk without waving my hands.
Oh.
I start moving the hands once in a while, too.
Stop being a racist, Bill.
Racist motherfucker, I'm German!
All I know is I work at a call center, and I mentioned to someone that it was like, I'm glad I'm not the only person who can't have a conversation over the phone without waving my hands at them. He's like, oh yeah, it's my Italian ancestry. I'm like, oh, there's the connection.
Nope.
No, I'm German, I do that.
I'm French, Irish, Scottish, and I do that.
I'm at least 75% German, and the other 25% were kind of...
Trust me, there's only 2 ancestry areas I do not have. One's German, one's Italian, and I do this. So, guess what? It's not genetics.
Yeah, it's definitely not genetics, because, dude, you've seen my reviews, and you know I get a little hand-wavy. And that's me trying to calm it down a bit. I get even worse at times.
And the other minor nitpick I had that we have not discussed is simply that I kind of felt with Ian's name being one of the first things that we see that we should have gotten something more from it, but that's a pretty minor thing.
Nitpick. And to be honest, as much as I would love to have seen Ian Chesterton come back to the show for a release cameo.
The actor is around, but at the same time, I think they would have had to go out of their way to explain to a new audience who the hell he is.
Yeah. That's just it. They really have not, like, gone over that stuff really hard for people to understand it. It's more of a throwaway reference that if there are diehard fans out there, they'll look it up and go, oh!
Not lost Lucas again. Yeah,
apparently Lucas has been having connection issues, so he hasn't been contributing as much tonight as he probably would like.
But no, I had no problem with the I Chesterton, especially the fact that it was on Coal Hill School.
Yeah.
Which was just like awesome. I would have loved to have seen a little more inside jokes with the various companions.
Oh, the fact that the school sign is on a TARDIS blue sign.
Is it?
I believe it was.
Let me check.
Yeah, go back and check, because I'm pretty sure it was.
It's the same shade, if that's what you mean.
The school sign name is on a blue sign.
The I Am Foreman sign is blue. The Coal Hill one, I can't tell if it's blue or black.
Okay.
I could have sworn it was blue, but maybe that's just me.
Because you have the I Am Foreman 76 Totters Lane sign right next to that.
Mm.
And it's there. And, by the way, that in itself is a non sequitur. Because there was an extended walk from Coal Hill School.
Well, no, they moved the school to be right next to the junkyard, because it made perfect sense to keep the school there.
And of course, the thing is that there's an arrow to 76 Totters Lane. Why would you need a sign to get there? Of course, they were looking at this simply because they wanted that cut of the policeman going past the I Am Foreman sign.
Yep.
Although I gotta say, it would have been. I mean, this probably wouldn't have fit with Clara, but I'm pretty sure the first scene of Ian or Barbara speaking, I think it wasn't a science class.
They were talking to each other after a science class.
Yeah.
So we didn't start with them in class. So.
No, we started with them right after they were done with their sessions for the day, and they were planning to follow Barbara. No, they were planning to follow Susan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I knew that. Okay, so in that case, it's not quite as much of a parallel introduction as it could have been either. Then.
Nope.
We could have started with
something else you might not have noticed is the Coal Hill School sign. The headmaster is W. Coburn, who was the author of An Unearthly Child.
That's the person whose son was trying to deprive us of the TARDIS.
Actually, it's Anthony Coburn who wrote An Unearthly Child. Yes. No, is it? Yeah, it might have been. So that might be them troll-facing.
No, because that image was leaked months ago.
Okay.
Like this was probably like those two props were probably one of the first things done for this special because it was leaked probably early summer or maybe even spring.
But yeah, okay. I guess we're kind of down to the ratings point, aren't we?
Yeah, we're picking at nits here. We're little itty bitty people.
Yeah. Or do we have Lucas back to the point of getting an audio from him, or no?
What?
No.
Doesn't seem so.
No, we just lost him again.
No.
Actually, yeah, we should have asked Eli for a numerical rating before he left.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a 1.
Knowing him, yeah.
I think his opinion improved a little bit as we were talking, and he didn't seem to absolutely abhor it just to dislike the story.
I think his major problem is that he wasn't quite understanding it.
Yeah, and the fact that you're looking at somebody who has only really seen New Who.
Yeah.
And therefore, doesn't know that Time War thing was a...
that was something that was
a direction
for
change
so long
from the original show, and this is a change to get back towards the original status quo. Which actually does give a theory, just a little bit in speculation for a moment, that if Doctor does bring Gallifrey back in an upcoming season, how is he going to deal with having the Time Lords looking over his shoulders? Yeah.
That would be interesting, but I think the more interesting thing to also worry about is that he has to worry about Rassilon when he brings them all back.
Oh yeah, that's an obvious one, because they're still going to be sitting there doing the end of time planning. How's he going to deal with it? That's a good question.
And he'll be bringing back the Master
even
too.
Stating that they pull that out of the way. How is the Doctor going to deal with having the Time Lords looking over his shoulder again?
And he's also bringing back 2 of his enemies, and just everything that's going to bring about. Yeah, it'll be bringing some things back to the status quo, but it's also going to be establishing a totally new one at the same time.
I think that would be an interesting thing. He goes to restore them, and then he starts thinking about it and talking about it. He's like, wait a second, do I want the Time Lords looking over my shoulder? Look at all the trouble they've caused me. And then his companion talks him into finally hitting the button.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting thought.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a very interesting process and a very new direction to take this.
Yeah, it's actually a direction I'm looking forward to seeing how they address. Mm-hmm. So, as much as this as much as this whole episode has given the Doctor hope for the future, it's also given me hope that this show is going to start looking again like the show I know and love.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of what I've had to deal with for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't go back to that. Please do not go back to that. And Moffat, if you don't know how to write women, get somebody who does.
Okay, so, ratings.
Oh. Here, I'll flip a coin. 4 or 5. Let's see here. Heads will be 5, tails will be 4.
While he's doing that, I think I'm going to go with a 4.5. I would say it's not absolutely perfect. There are certainly complaints that can be made, but it's definitely better than I was expecting and lived up to and exceeded my expectations for where we're going. It really makes it what's to come a good question rather than how bad is it going to be. And so yeah, I'm going to put it just below a perfect score.
The coin says 5.
Coin has spoken.
So you're going to give it a 5?
I said, coin, give me a 4 or 5, and it gave me a 5. So yes, I'm going with 5.
While this is not, as I agree with you, a perfect episode, I think this is the best episode I've seen. Bar none. It's close with the Doctor's wife, but I think this beats out anything I've seen in the first 4 series. It's beaten most of the things I've seen in the 26, so this is the new 5 for me. This is the new bar.
5. So then, pulling out the calculator.
4.5, 5, and 5 gives us a 4.8, I think.
But should we also include... Actually, we don't know for sure what Eli's going to rate it now.
No, we don't know what Eli's going to rate it, and we haven't heard back from Lucas yet.
His connection just crapped out completely. He's not even online right now.
Yeah.
So
we will have to get the remaining 2 people. We will add it to notes after the podcast, I guess.
Or something. Or try and note it next episode. Otherwise, for the standing right now, it's a 4.8.
This might be due to Time Lord interference, considering that the 3 people that like the episode the most seem to be the ones that are still on.
Remember, children, if the Time Lords don't like what you're saying on the internet, they will kill your internet.
Kind of like the NSA, except with time and space powers.
Damn Celestial Intervention Agency.
Well, I think I'm going to give it a... The internet went out again.
Alright, so I guess that's all we have to say.
And next week, we're back to Destiny of the Doctor with enemy aliens, barring any new surprising developments.
With what's her face that does Charlie Pollard? Yeah.
Yeah, Eighth Doctor.
I do not remember her name.
And we will be coming at around 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 Central.
I think it's the plan thus far. Yes.
So we hope to see you there.
Alrighty. Good night, and see y'all next time.
See y'all next week.